Sometimes it seems like humans aren't very kind. The news always seems full of acts of violence, war, unnecessary suffering all around the world. Social media can be equally horrible. People bullying, shaming, and abusing each other online. And then we see people who directly benefit from being unkind or being untruthful, whether it's tax avoiding billionaires or lying politicians, or even just the year 8 student who pushed in front of me in the canteen the other day. Everywhere we look, it seems like people are being unkind. So you might have asked yourself this question already, and it's a really important question. It's the focus of today's assembly. If the world is full of bad people doing bad things, then why should I be kind? This term in PSHE, we're looking at relationships. That's a study of how we interact with other people. Kindness is fundamental to this, and it's also one of the Fortismere four. So in school, you're expected to be kind, but in every one of your other relationships outside of school as well, you're expected to be kind. But why? Why should I? To answer a big question like this, it's useful to look in a number of places. This question has some possible answers from philosophy, some that could come from religion, and some that will come from science. And in this particular case, for this question, uh, all three of these areas of study have some agreement. There are some answers that all three of these different ways of looking for answers agree upon. Philosophy, first of all, is the search for truth using reason. This means thinking about things logically, thinking about things carefully. At the moment, you're studying some philosophical ideas about how humans should behave in PRE, but the branch of philosophy most concerned with how we act is ethics, which you focus on in the summer term. Now, one philosopher who's well known for his work in ethics is a guy called Immanuel Kant. And Kant said, when I think about my own experiences, it's obvious that I don't like suffering. I don't like pain. I don't like hunger or grief or anything that makes me sad. He thought this was obvious, and I agree. I think it is obvious. He also said it makes sense to think other people are pretty much like me. Nobody likes suffering. So he said, if you think about it, if I don't want people to make me suffer, then they don't want me to make them suffer either. So the best way for everyone to act, in fact, the only way to act that makes sense, is to treat other people how you want to be treated. Kant arrived at this conclusion through reason, but he wasn't the first person to think this. In fact, versions of this idea exist in all of the world's biggest religions. They're sometimes called the Big Six, and we study all of them in PRE. Judaism and Christianity and Islam, you studied in year 7, and Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, which you study this year. So all of these 6 religions agree that you should treat other people how you want to be treated. And because they all agree, it's become known as the golden rule. So this idea, to treat other people how you want to be treated, has existed for as long as we have written history, and probably much longer than that. So it's at least 4,000 years old. Followers of these 6 religions make up about 85% of the world's population. So most people in the world believe the golden rule: treat other people how you want to be treated. And it's something that's been believed for thousands and thousands of years. So we've got an ancient religious idea here that has support from modern philosophy. There's also a scientific basis for being kind. We need to rewind a little bit and recap a bit of science of evolution here. But life began on Earth about 4 billion years ago, and it's gradually evolved from a simple organism into all of the animals and plants you see today. Everything on Earth, including us, is related. What that means is if we're trying to explain human behavior, so in this case, kindness, it's useful to look at the animals that we're most closely related to. Our closest relatives are chimpanzees and bonobo monkeys. So we can look at their behavior and see if there's any hints as to how we should behave. Now, when we look at the animal world, we sometimes think of it as a violent place. Evolution is driven by the idea of survival of the fittest. So the strongest animals survive and the weakest animals die out. All the animals are in competition with each other. So it doesn't make sense for animals to be kind. In general, animals aren't kind to each other, except for a couple of very close relatives of ours, which are chimpanzees and especially bonobo monkeys. So we've done lots of studies of chimps and bonobos, and one of the things we've noticed is that bonobos particularly like sharing food with each other. Now, lots of animals share food with their pack or with their family groups. What makes bonobos different is they'll share food with strangers. They'll give their food away to other bonobos that they've never met before with no expectation of getting anything in return. They cooperate on tasks, they look after each other when they're sick, they share childcare, they give their own food away to others that need it more. And the idea behind this from evolution is if they're all kind to each other, they're all more likely to survive. It's possible that humans have become so widespread and so successful because we're kind. It might not be competition that's got us to where we are today, but cooperation and kindness. Think about what you're doing right now. You're listening, if you're still listening, you're listening to this amazing assembly full of really interesting ideas, and it's absolutely free. You haven't paid to learn about this stuff. And that's because some humans decided it's kinder for us to allow young people to learn about things instead of forcing them into factories or into mines. All the adults have chipped in. So we've all paid some tax so that you get an education that you don't have to pay for, and your healthcare, and the road you used to get to school today, and the clean water you drink at home, and the safe food that you eat. We've all cooperated and been kind to each other and built a better world for everybody. So sometimes some scientists think that, just like bonobos, kindness benefits humans as a species. And that explains why being kind feels good. So bonobo monkeys will get a good feeling when they do something kind. That's why they keep doing kind things. And that might apply to humans as well. Acts of kindness release a chemical in the brain called serotonin, and that makes us happy. And it seems to be true. I enjoy being kind. You can try it out, it's free. Do something nice today. Pay someone a compliment. Open a door for someone. Help with the washing up. Forgive someone. I've forgiven that year 8 that pushed in front of me in the canteen queue, and it feels great. I feel much better. I don't hate her at all. And rather than still be angry about it, being kind in this situation has actually made me happy. It's nice to be kind. It's nice to be nice. Try it out. So why be kind? Well, it makes sense. Most people believe that it's the right thing to do. Everyone benefits when we're kind, and it feels good. If you've had enough of seeing bad news about bad people doing bad things, and you want to make the world a better place, you can start today by being kind. If you're interested in any of these ideas, you want to find more out about them, talk to your PRE teacher about the philosophy behind these ideas, or the religion behind these ideas, or the ideas we've taken from ethics. Talk to your science teacher about evolutionary biology. You might want to study religious studies GCSE. You might want to go on to study philosophy or psychology at A level. But if you want some further reading or more ideas, get in touch with me. My name is Mr. Aldridge. My teaching room is T09. My email address is there on the board. And remember, you can start being kind today. It doesn't cost anything, and you might enjoy it.